babies. Friends. Synth Friends Unite. Hey, Alama's Weed Man, what's up?
Hey, hey.
I know it's noon, so it's a little harder to tune in. It's like really early for anybody west of us, which is so funny.
But our at-home United States people, you guys are
Yeah, here Roof Skyrim
Y'all are here.
1979. Love that name. Yo, yo, yo. Welcome in. Yeah, happy Thursday. Happy March 9th. Can you believe it? Oh my God.
Oh my
Today is Synth Friends, and we're doing it at noon for a reason I'm sure you can guess, which is that our Synth friend is tuning in from the future. They are on a different part of the world where it's going to be, like 5, 6 o'clock for them. So they're going to be joining us from Scotland. So I'm so happy that everyone's here so that we can give them a warm welcome. And again, we have an hour, okay? So we've got to keep our questions tight. We got to make sure we keep our eye on the prize.
As tight as we could possibly be.
I'm saying that to us, the loosest people in the universe.
To be
the
held
vest
to.
is getting some love. Thank you. I was trying not to be perceived in it, but what can you do? The weather's weird, as we all know. It's like it was hot. Now it's gonna snow.
I'll probably take my hoodie off in the middle of this and make a bunch of noise.
The heat kicked in really hard today, so I was like, I'm wearing a t-shirt. It's so hot in here. And then I was like, it's still gonna snow today. So I'm in this weird place of not knowing what to wear. I don't know if that's relatable or not. Climate change. What are you gonna do? Okay, so let's bring in our synth friend and have a fun cosmic chat with them. I do want to just preface that this is Drew Mulholland, who is, if you know the label Ghost Box or the just like tape music out of the UK history. I mean, a lot of it is what we've covered in our podcast. Like, this is kind of an exciting connection that
Sort of an
we weren't
unbelievable
expecting
guess,
to have.
honestly.
So
yeah, it kind of fell out of the sky.
make mistakes. Happy work lurking. Hopefully we won't get too rowdy for you. So we're gonna bring in Drew and get excited because this is someone who really I wish we could do like several podcast episodes with, if you know what I mean.
I feel like work lurkin should be spelled with 2 E's. W-E-R-K.
Oh, like twerking?
L-E-R-K. I-N-G.
All right. So I'm going to do my magic here. I'm trying to make this work and bring them into the stream. So just in a moment, the magic is going to happen. Let's say, here we go. The magic. It's happening. Welcome in, Drew. I think you are now live on our stream.
Thank you.
Yay! Okay, it worked. Thank you so much for joining us. All the way from Scotland, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great. This is our weekly stream. It's called Synth Friends, and what it seems to be consisting of people that we generally have conversations with on Instagram who have some interest in this sort of more experimental side of electronic music.
Yeah.
And we, in these years of isolation have been feeling like, wouldn't it be nice to be able to like grab a coffee with these people? Oh, that probably isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
But we have this live stream thing that we're doing. What if we, have the conversations on there and then we can build, more community that way, where now we're finding who knows who or worked with other people that we've had on, or, just being surprised by some of the influences people have that we share and things like that. So it's been a really fun experience. So I'm really glad that you were able to join us here because it's a pretty similar story of how we connected.
Yeah.
So enough of that backstory. What we want to know is what really excites you the most, what really got you started in this, I guess, umbrella of like tape music. I think is an appropriate term, perhaps, to use.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just finished a book called Elizabethan Tape Loops, and
Wow.
At the beginning, what happened was I was about 12 and I had a great friend called Paul Canavan. And he appeared one day and he said, listen to this. And it was just this sound going round and round and round. And it was like a ball rolling down a drain pipe.
Mm.
And I said, oh, what the hell is this? I said, run it back. And he says, oh, no need. And he took the cassette out, held it up, and there didn't appear to be any tape in it. And what it was a tape loop. And I'd never seen one, heard of one, you know. So to me, it was alchemy or something. And it was, Paul was a couple of years older than me, and he had friends at school who were a couple of years older than him, and they'd formed a band. And you know, kind of schoolboy band, you know, and they had been making these loops, and that was, you know, like the road to Damascus. You know?
Wow, yes. That
It
makes
was
sense.
just, what the hell is this?
Mm-hmm.
And we just started making our own loops and starting imaginary groups and all sorts. So that was really the kind of point that something appeared to come out of nowhere, and it really touched me. So
Wow.
I'm afraid Paul's guilty of all this.
Yeah, we need to know more about his backstory now, because that feels like such a quick passageway that you found to get right to what, you know, it's not just about the loops, it's like what happens when you're working with tape
Talk
loops.
about right place, right time.
Yeah.
It sounds like, you know, to have that sort of community.
Well, completely.
That's a really good
Absolutely.
point.
That was it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, what was in the air that this was even possible?
well, a couple of things had happened. I was still at primary school. I don't know what you call that in America. It's like before you go into high school.
Yeah.
And I went to the bathroom, and in the on the way to the bathroom from the classroom, you had to go past the kitchens, and they were playing the radio. And as I walked past, they were playing Life on Mars. And I actually remember stopping dead and going, what is this? I had no idea what I was listening to. And then when I went back into the class, I got a row for being so long.
Blame it on the music.
So, but I just, again, it was just this, you know, I mean, obviously we've all heard music all our lives, but there was just something, you know, about this. And I'm going, what is this? You know? And then probably around about the same time, one of my cousins had a tape of the Beatles, and it was Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite. And we all lived in this kind of same area in Glasgow. So we're always, all the family, extended family, were in and out of each other's houses all the time. And, you know, it's a cliche now, but, you know, the doors were never locked. So I ran into my aunt's house, and there appeared to be no one in, but there was a tape player. And just as I went in, the Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite, the instrumental part with all the tape loops going around, and again, it was just stopping dead and going, what is this? You know? And then finding out, you know, when Paul appeared with the loop, right, it's all coming together. You know?
Oh, those are
that kind of was it. I mean, I'm sure it's a story that most people in our area will have something like that, you know, to be able to actually pin it down to a moment, you know, or moments.
Yeah, those are pretty good. Those are pretty great answers. It's making me think about, I don't want to jump too far, but when you bring up hearing tape loops on a Beatles track, it immediately makes me think about how much I'm obsessed with learning as much as I can about Unit Delta Plus and this rave that happened in 1967 that Paul McCartney threw, and he invited Unit Delta Plus.
Yeah.
And I can't find any information about it. And
We've seen the flyer.
I don't want to jump too far ahead, but that just lit me up about that.
Yeah. Ooh,
I've got
right for it.
I've got one of Delia's business cards, so I'll send you a picture of it.
Oh wow, I would love to see that. That's amazing.
I'm gonna lose it. This is it's hard for me to keep it together. Okay. Did you? Okay. Let me reel it back in. So everyone in the chat, just know that that's out there. That's a thing we can talk about, but we're not going to go there just now. So you mentioned starting a lot of different groups with people, you know, where you were living, and how I imagine that led to eventually, we can jump sort of through time a little bit in your story about getting to a place where you're now taking this idea of found sounds, field recordings, tape loops, textures, haunted sort of ephemera, and creating a new kind of, I would say, consumable music. That isn't academic or sound design or sound effects, but what I'm trying to get at is getting to Séance at Hobs Lane and kind of using that as a marker in the story to talk more about the evolution of your explorations with tape.
Well, the one thing I'm really, really pleased about now, looking back, is that I was never trained. It was straight from the sounds to my imagination or whatever. You know, the fact that you can be, like I said when I first heard a tape loop, there's a sense of magic, there's a sense of otherness, rather than going, oh yes, that's a 3/4 inch tape loop and it's going at this speed. And, you know, I didn't know anything about that.
Right.
And to be honest, it was only, I don't know, 3 or 4 years later that I got hold of a book by a guy called F.C. Judd, and it was called Composing the Tape Recorders. So very, very gradually kind of started to find out technical stuff, but I'm not technical at all. So I just looked at the pictures, really.
Yeah. I was going to say, I wonder if you stumbled on F.C. Judd at this point, and then you said it, so that's perfect. Yeah.
And then, again, a few years later, it was, I was learning guitar, and it was impossible. You know, I just could not figure it out. I could not do it. And then punk happened. And very, very, very early days of it. I'd been to piano lessons, but you know, I couldn't wait to get out, kind of thing. And what happened was a friend of mine at school who had no training whatsoever was really into music. And what happened was he bought a guitar, the Clash's first album, and a book of chords, and we didn't see him for 3 weeks. And he came back and he could play every song on it. And I thought, right, if he can do it, I can do it. You know, not being disparaging, but I just thought, right, he's totally no training at all. So again, that kind of, I suppose, reinforced my attitude that was, you don't need, you know, to go to music college, not necessarily. And the other thing, which was one of the huge compliments when I was composer in residence at the university, a lot of the students who are trained, I would just say to them, and when you come to bar 160, just do what you like. And they were, what? No, that's not all. No, do it. You know, and quite a few of them just said to me when I was leaving, it was a good direction to, you know, to put them in, which, as I say, a huge compliment.
Yeah. No, we've had some other guests on who've mentioned sort of these different paths of being trained or not, going to school or not. And when you talk about the magic of tape and discovering it in a way that's not in an academic setting, like what would you even gain? Like, who's going to teach you how to be curious and like what to do with something that doesn't have a structure?
Right.
It's all instinct.
Yeah.
And that's I think what a lot of people who get into this, that's where they come from. You know, it's instinctive. You know, you're a young child, and you're literally stopped dead in your tracks because something you hear. I mean, there's a power there. There's got to be something in there. You know, that's drawing you in.
Absolutely.
It's like one of the things I got really, really into was sound effects albums. The BBC put out, every other week, sound effects albums, and we got hold of them, and it got to the point that when you'd go to your friends' houses to play records, I distinctly remember this time. My friend that learned the guitar before me, I was up at his house, and his mum shouted down the hall, "We'll keep the noise down." And David said, "It's okay, Mum. Drew's just bought his sound effects albums again." I wasn't really interested in listening to,
Regular
rock.
music.
Yeah, as such. And I was going, "Wait to hear this." It's a depth charge going off it, whatever it was. So that was what really. I mean, I was obviously, different to my peers in that sense. But I mean, I still go to concerts, rock concerts.
I think we're having a little spotty moment with the connection. So I'm just letting it reset itself here a little bit. Are we good? Do I have to redo that? Yeah, we are frozen on you, so I don't know if you want to jump in and out, if you can even hear me, actually. I don't know. This can happen from time to time. I mean, we do live in the future, and we're trying to transmit wirelessly through multiple channels, so we'll see if we can get Drew back, but I see that. Oh yes, love for the Beatles and not being trained is definitely high on the list there.
We lost
there we
you
go.
for a minute.
Now you're back. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely relate to being the person that is associated with the music that might be played in the room that isn't 100% desired by everyone, isn't the most popular sounds. So that's really funny to hear. But it's also a good reminder that, at that time I would imagine, right, like are we talking vinyl or are we talking tapes? Probably most
both.
likely both.
Yeah.
The BBC was releasing like these amazing sound effects records, like.
Yeah, I definitely have a few of them myself.
Yeah. They've even made their way here.
The Out of This World. Sci-fi. Yeah. I have that. It's so good. I mean, I probably abuse it.
Well, here's the thing about that record. There's about a million tracks on it. And I played it through, and I took notice of the tracks that I liked. And they were all written by the same person. So I checked the key at the back, and it was DD. I was like, "Who's DD?" I was like, "Delia Derbyshire." Oh, right.
Exactly.
It's really one of those kind of.
Wow, that's the end of that story, right?
Oh, yeah. So it's almost, as you get older, you definitely see there are points that. Oh yeah, right. That happened for a reason. So I remember that one.
Wow. Yeah, and I love that of course, it's just DD.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like the full credit would have been better. I think there's the full credit. It's like a key. There's a little key that tells you the names. I know that's it's like Patty Kingsley and
there's
Delia
also
Derbyshire.
really cool that vinyl packaging that we have at least has like really cool storytelling stuff about the tracks and like who made them and what they were used for and like stuff you wouldn't know, like little fun facts about the Radiophonic Workshop.
Yeah.
So I live for that.
But they did so many more, and there's so many more that I would like to obtain, but that are way harder to obtain, I would say, because they probably made way fewer copies, for obvious reasons. The interest level of something like athletic sound effects, is probably going to be pretty small group of people that would buy that, just really libraries, like production houses. and you yourself, and, you know, but like that's a pretty small market.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And the other thing is, you do become kind of evangelical about it. You know, what do you mean you want to listen to the Who's new album? Listen to this. It's the sound of weightlifting. You know,
right.
Oh,
only
that's
three
so
people.
amazing.
So yeah.
A treasure trove for industrial sounds.
Oh yeah. Well, one of the other things that I write about was behind our house. There was a scrap metal business, and it was really hardcore. I mean, they demolished trains, locomotives,
Mm,
um, and the noises that came from that place was
Wow.
incredible. You know,
I bet.
so
It's like the
you know,
punk version of Pierre Schaeffer.
well, one of the things when the
That's
very
crazy.
first Mount Vernon Arts Lab record came out, um, someone wrote the sleeve notes for it, and they said the Mount Vernon Arts Lab it more or less invented industrial music because you know, I was physically recording the sound of electromagnets crashing down and trains being sawn in half or whatever it was. So
Wow.
I don't think I did invent industrial music, you know, but obviously, but it's something, you know, if you can take a sound and then manipulate it, that was the that was
Mm.
the thing for us, definitely.
Yeah, which kind of leads me to ask you, like, you know, source material wise, like you do some field recording from what I've read.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you have any, like, besides the train yard? That's amazing. But are there any other, like, favorite spots throughout Scotland that
yeah.
you like to visit and do field recording?
Um, Not necessarily. It's used again, but it's,
Well, it's now turning into like a robot vocoder. This is turning into an experimental music stream using the connection issues as the modulation. I don't know. Yeah, we lost you again. Oh, this is making me sad because like there's so many things that we're like, yes, and then we lose the connection.
We just successfully answered a question or said a question.
We'll
Oops.
we'll let it reset itself. It's all good. I do. I just
It'll.
I don't know if he can hear us too, or if we're just
Probably.
yeah. Oh, okay. He's gonna pop in and out. Ooh, there's two of us. We'll wait. I just love the idea that like electronic music or music concrete or electroacoustic music is considered to be birthed by Pierre Schaeffer from field recordings of trains. Like his first, the first electronic tape music piece is called "The Train Song."
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about this in one of our podcast episodes. So the idea that Drew's like kind of first like groundbreaking piece was based on the destruction of trains sound is something I feel like I could write like a Tumblr post about. Yeah, we'll wait for Drew to reset the connection there and then bring him back. Okay, let's get back. Let's make this.
We're back.
There we go. Yes.
Thanks for coming back.
no problem.
We have some friends in the chat who were just kind of throwing their, support to the connections to make them work. So thank you, Bartek, and make mistakes. I'm glad we got you back. We were just nerding out about the idea of recording trains. But what was the...
Oh, we just got on the topic of field recordings.
Oh, just field recordings.
And we could even keep it more open-ended than
Maybe
what
not.
I said.
I mean, you kind of already answered the question with the trains, but is it that you want to know like current places
or maybe maybe we can talk more about like your method. Like, do you like to record to tape or digital, or like what's your setup for doing field recording?
cassette and digital as well. But
Cassette and digital. Okay.
I get the but I get the digital and then record it onto cassette, onto tape.
Yes.
So that was, this gives it something, I don't know.
Yeah.
I like the process of it.
We have talked about using that method as well. Like we've done it on our stream live, like where we took there was some hold music that I had like right before the stream. We thought it sounded interesting, and so we recorded it.
It already sounded like a tape loop.
Digitally, yeah, it had like a tape loop character, and then we recorded that onto a tape loop, and of course, it created a really nice tape loop.
Yeah.
But that's sometimes like you have whatever you have with you, is gonna be what you're gonna use. But it's also really fun to intentionally go out and capture sounds onto cassette, which we've also done, and you get some really nice textures that way.
Oh, absolutely.
There's nothing quite like capturing the sound directly to the tape.
Yeah. And so the other one I was going to say about York University. There was a conference, a talk rather, and it was about the building that the Sex Pistols lived in on Denmark Street. And I think it's 16th or 17th century. And it had been listed, which means they can't demolish it. And when we were going into the main room of it, they took down some boards that were up, and Johnny Rotten's caricatures of the band and the manager were on the walls. So it was an interesting talk. But the other thing is, where I was staying overnight, there was a moor near it, and it's called Hob Moor. So I couldn't resist that one. So I made loads of field recordings on Hob Moor, and that came out as a cassette.
Oh yes, I've seen that.
So, but the weird thing about that was, a few months later, my wife and I were down in London, and we were in Denmark Street. So I went into a guitar shop to buy strings. And I just happened to say to the guy at the counter, have you any idea where the Sex Pistols room was? And he said, oh, it's just through here. Would you like to come through? And fortunately, I had my phone and I recorded the ambience of the room. And that came out as a 7-inch clear single. So it's just those, one thing does tend to lead to another, I've noticed,
Well, when you're following the sound, you tend to also be more open when you're just out and about, right? Seeing things maybe a different way than everyone around you is.
Right. Yeah, you're kind of always listening for it. Like, you can't really turn that off.
I think we're frozen again.
Oopsie.
It's just one of those days. There we go. Now you're back.
Yeah.
I think we're back now.
Yeah, we were just saying how, why we like building community around experimental musicians is because we're all kind of out there seeing the world through this lens of like, oh, that could be a field recording.
Yeah.
Nobody else is.
Oh, completely. Yeah.
It reminds me.
We've got. I was doing a course in sound production a few years ago, and one of the first things one of the lecturers said to us was, "Are there any musicians in the class?" So a few of us put our hands up, and he said, "Right, you know how that when you listen to a record, you can't listen to it the same way ordinary people would listen to it, the public would listen, because we would listen and go, oh, that's a strat going through well, even further.
We're cutting in and out again. And as cool as it sounds, I don't want to miss what you're saying. Nope, we're gone again. Huh.
Maybe we try to leave and rejoin ourselves?
We could try that, but I don't.
There we
yeah,
go.
There we go. Now you're back. So you were saying about listening to records different than the public listens to them, and that's makes it's just a good thing to be reminded of, because sometimes it can be you want to relate. Music is a thing that helps you relate to people.
Right.
And if you're still being sort of like an outsider, even with music, it can make you feel kind of isolated. So it's good to be reminded that we're not alone. That's why I love Synth Friends so much. But we're still frozen again. Now we're back.
Yep, I know.
I don't know. I think we're just going to be cutting in and out, it seems.
We'll just
so
make the best of it.
It's just so funny because you can't always tell right away that it's frozen. Mm-hmm. And then you'll just be like, oh wait, there's no audio happening. So it's a little strange. I don't really feel like there's much like to what we could do to make that better. And I wish there was.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I don't think so. Just from what I'm seeing in terms of like our
bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're cooking.
Thanks, Tape Loop friends in the chat. We'll try to see if we can get this reset one more time. I don't know, maybe you're right. Maybe we should leave and come back. Drew, are you still hearing us? I'm not sure. Like through all of this, if you're still hearing us, I don't know if I would be able to hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. It's quite glitchy.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we'll leave too. We'll leave too and come back. This is actually the first time that we've had this happen. Mm-hmm. So it's a good thing to like
restart, maybe?
To be like aware of. No, I'm just gonna like restart the Zoom. But yeah, I don't know. Like our system usually lets us know if it's like not stable and like what to do and recommendations. I'm not getting those.
Sorry,
so I don't know.
folks.
I know.
This is an amazing conversation.
I mean, it's okay. This is literally why I make mistakes exist, is to just be like, you know what? It's okay. Because this really is something that is very common. It's literally what we're all dealing with all the time. Okay, we're back.
Hello.
Yes, I think we can hear and see each other now, I think.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, great. We were, just talking about. I keep thinking about how you said, at a very early age, like hearing a sound that's like normal to everyone else, but you hear it a different way, and it sort of sparks this interest in making music and sound design from this. And I just keep thinking about how that's a story that I just remember hearing Delia Derbyshire herself explain as well. Not to keep hammering this, but I just can't help feeling those connections when I'm talking to you. And I know you had a friendship with her as well. And I know so many of our friends in the stream here in the chat and stuff share a fondness for her and would probably be pretty excited to hear what your thoughts on that experience of knowing her and, having her tapes and making music with that, just getting to hear about that would be so exciting.
Well, it was one of those, in fact, can I say something?
Ooh, there's going to be a prop now, which makes me very happy. Yes, I was posting about this too.
You seen that? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, what happened was one day I got a phone call from Pete Kember, who used to play in Spacemen 3 and Spectrum, and we were doing some recording together. and he called me and he just said, "You'll never guess who I was talking to." Delia Derbyshire. I was like, "What?" So I asked him to phone her back and say, "Is it okay if I called her?" So I called her that. No, I called her at 7 o'clock in the evening, and she said, "Can you call me back tomorrow at 12?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So a minute past 12 the next day, I called, and she just answered the phone with, "You're late," because I was a minute late. I was like, okay. And then we just started chatting about music and all sorts. It was, and again, you have that initial 30 seconds of, my God, I'm talking to Delia Derbyshire. And then you just realize it's another human being and you just go on with it,
Wow.
But she was very funny, incredibly smart as well.
I was reading a little bit about you talking about
There
receiving.
was, I was, sorry?
Oh, just about how you, she had given you maybe some of her, like, compositions and writing the way she used, like, mathematical approaches.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's where this came from. So, yeah, I mean, I had it for years and years before I even thought about doing anything with it. It was just on an A4 piece of paper. I think it was in pencil originally. And I just thought, well, that's a nice thing to have. And then after she died, I was playing a concert with Pete Kember. And he said, "Oh, I've got something for you." And me one of Delia's snuff tins, because she's really into snuff. It was just bizarre.
Yeah.
And when I did, I did some music for a play about Delia.
Oh.
And one of the actresses that was playing her just before she went on stage, I said, "Here." And she went, "What is it?" I said, "That was Delia's snuff tin." And she, because I know actors are very, very superstitious. So, she had it on her, physically on her when she was acting. So that was, it's just a nice little, little thing.
That is really, really cool.
Wow.
The other one I always remember is I was I was reading Barry Miles' biography of Paul McCartney, and when McCartney wrote Yesterday, he didn't want the band to play it. He wanted some kind of backing, and George Martin said, "Oh, go and see Delia Derbyshire."
Oh, that's right.
So I was reading this, and I just went right on the phone to her. I said, "Well, what happened? And she went, "Oh, yes, he came down with the other one. The one in the glasses." And I was like, "John Lennon." He's like, "Yeah, that's him, Lennon."
Oh, so casual.
Wow.
Yeah.
George Martin telling Paul McCartney to go see Delia Derbyshire is kind of like Obi-Wan telling Luke to go visit Yoda for training.
Yeah.
Thanks for bearing with me on that.
I'll probably upset a lot of people now. I have never seen Star Wars.
Oh, really? Wow.
Any of them.
I love that, though.
That's kind of cool. I mean,
stick to it.
That's a lot cooler than having seen them all and
never break.
being embarrassed that you've seen all the cartoons.
I've seen too much of it.
Yeah, it just passed me by. I was too busy getting into music, I suppose.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, you had your own sort of Star Wars world to explore. Yes.
Well, let's just say we watch a lot of sci-fi movies on our channel
Oh, yeah.
here, and Star Wars is not on the bill ever.
No.
So as much as I'm like a sleeper fan, you know, like we don't really consider it among.
That would be a really different kind of event, wouldn't it? I always just worry that it's like too commercial, that we'll get dinged somehow. Like, let's watch all the weird ones no one's heard of. The system won't know. Won't know what to do.
I mean, and a lot of them have arguably better plots,
better music. Yeah, we're really
acting.
We're watching to listen. Really, is kind of the thing.
Yeah, it's like I think you had you were watching Forbidden Planet.
Yes.
A while back. Yeah, I mean that sounds like what is going on there.
What is going on there? We're obsessed with that because it is very mysterious.
Yeah, that's probably one of my biggest influences as far as, you know, old sci-fi movie soundtracks. Like I've listened to that soundtrack so much, and you know, try to emulate like what's going on there with like tape, you know, pitching down tape and like trying to like get these growl sounds and stuff, like when the monster is attacking. I mean, they did it all with tubes, and we've heard all kinds of stories and covered it, you know, like the BB and Louis Barron duo and film score duo.
So we know now, but it's that idea
what it
of
made,
like,
but it's more than just trying to recreate the sound of it and the vibe of it, what it sounds like to you. That's kind of like where I get involved, I would say, is just emulating like what I'm actually
biggest
hearing.
Inspirations, the sound of a circuit dying, a train being demolished. Those
the
are my
monster
musical
scene
influences,
in
right?
Forbidden Planet.
Completely.
Yeah. So
do you like sci-fi films?
I think to say I like them is to do it an injustice. I'm obsessed.
Okay, cool. We just want to be super clear about that.
Yeah, it's
I feel like we're in a sci-fi movie. The specific way that the connection is glitching is, it's almost like musical.
It sounds like Immutable Instruments Clouds algorithm, like the spectral.
That is so crazy.
Whatever it's called.
It's gonna come back. I believe in it. We need to harness the force. There we go.
Oh, I'm back.
You're back.
There we go.
It felt like it was a second, but it must have been a different experience on your end. Okay, so we all know this is a safe space for sci-fi fans, so that's good to know. We talked about Forbidden Planet. Did you have any other like favorites, especially something that had a sound that you got obsessed with?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, more props. I like it. I want to make sure that we highlight Drew's links in the chat, and especially the Patreon. Ooh, here we go. I think I know what this is going to be about.
Yeah. Again, a soundtrack that was totally electronic. But again, the first time I saw it, when I was probably about 10, I saw it in the cinema, and it was just, again, what is this?
Yeah, a lot of people have said that it was like really like it was like scary.
Yeah.
At a different level.
Yeah.
It's like psychologically terrifying.
Well, the scene at the end is just horrifying and will stay in your brain forever if you've ever seen it.
I think it's one of those soundtracks that is scary because, I mean, they're quite brutal sounds, but also you've no idea where they came from. You've no idea what you're actually listening to. And again, that's totally intriguing.
Yeah.
As well.
That's a really good point, because there's something to the idea of I like not knowing what the sound is, but it's a little bit haunting, and we use that word a lot when we're talking about this type of music. So it feels almost like a chicken egg thing. I'm so sorry. There's someone's raiding us. Okay, so this is a Twitch thing, Drew. I'm so sorry. This is happening on the screen. There's an explosion of things happening on the screen, and someone just brought their party of 5 to join our stream. So our friends from Kid Pachoclo's stream are now here inside of our stream with us.
Thanks for the raid.
Jumping in for us talking about sci-fi inspiration, which I know everybody already knows. It's all we talk about. But thank you for the raid, friends. Welcome in. We're kind of at the end of our conversation here, but I feel like it could go on for days. We could do like a weekend retreat talking to you. Oh my goodness. I want to make sure that we talk about too, like you said, you're working on a book, and like you have a Patreon and things like that.
And your album that you sent us.
Yeah. There's just so much to cover, right? Like you've we have this on vinyl now.
We really
Very
enjoyed that.
Excited by that.
Listen to it often.
And you've just put out a lot of music. So I just want to encourage everybody. I dropped your links in the chat. I'm going to do it one more time. That Drew has such an immense body of work to explore that ranges from just like the whole umbrella of experimental and tape music. Like I feel like you're going to find a lot of variety in there. It's not just ambient, whatever that means, you know what I mean? And also a huge sci-fi fan, so if you understand like our excitement about those influences, then I think you're going to find similar things to like about Drew's music. So those are the links, but I also want to point out especially the Patreon has a really cool sort of like getting to know you a little bit more about kind of what your influences are and what you're currently working on and how to support you there. So check that out, everybody.
That'd be great, thanks.
But I'm curious, like this book that you're writing, what that's about.
Well, it's called Elizabethan Tape Loops.
Oh, okay. You mentioned that at the top.
Yeah, and it's finished. So
the sci-fi glitch.
Trains being demolished behind us and recording it, and getting into sound.
Okay, it glitched out a little bit, but I think what you're saying is that the book is called Elizabethan Tape Loops, and it's talking about kind of some of the things you brought up in the stream, talking about sound design. Come on, internet gods, let's get this connection. Okay. We didn't quite hear the last bit of things that you were saying, so I don't know if we have you back yet or not. Okay, I think you're back. Okay. Elizabethan Tape Loops is the book, and you said it's just about finished.
No, it is finished.
It is finished. Okay.
Yeah, it's we're just trying to get a publisher now for it, so we'll see. I expect the rejection notices to come in any day.
So that means the acceptance ones are not far behind.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure. Really good luck with that, you know?
Yeah, we're really excited for that to exist so we can get
I'll send you one if it comes out. Yeah.
We want that to happen. Okay, everybody, send good vibes for this. We want this to happen. This is definitely up our street kind of things that we would want to be checking out.
There is something which I'm going to show you, but I can't really say too much about it just now. Okay?
Okay. Everyone, we're getting top secret intel here. Okay.
There was a record company, a well-known record company within our world, and they wanted to do a compilation stuff, and I really, really prayed I could find a photograph of the area behind our house where this all started with the trains, and I found it. So I only got my copies yesterday. So,
What timing? Oh my gosh, that's cosmic
timing. So I think this will be out in a couple of months. So I'll send you one.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
so
you all heard it here first. Keep your eyes out. We'll be posting about it when it comes out for everyone else.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I so appreciate your storytelling style too, because we have this whole through line with the trains now.
Yeah.
And I'm just nerding out so hard about all these connections, because we have this private group and a podcast where we like dig through together, like kind of try to piece together threads between the early electronic pioneers it was all happening all over the world, but at the same time. And so there's like all these really interesting threads and commonalities, or that time Stockhausen went out to San Francisco, and like the San Francisco Tape Music Center started, and like all these things. Like even with the Beatles and Delia, like they're all tied together, and it's really fun to build these like deeper stories when you find that stuff out.
Yeah, and more information seems to be unearthed, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even things like to go back to Delia. I remember once talking to her, and she said, "Oh, I remember I had something to tell you. Have you heard of a musician called Brian Jones?" I was like, "Yeah." And she says, "Well, we were friends, and I remember when he died, I was doing the washing up, and I just cried into the basin." She said he came down to the radiophonic workshop, and he was playing with the oscillators as though they were a musical instrument. And this would be about 1967. And on the Stones' next album, there's a track called 2000 Light Years from Home. And in the middle of it, there's a hand-played oscillator. And I thought, oh, right, okay. Because everyone says, oh, it's a theremin, but it's not a theremin, it's an oscillator.
Yeah, where'd you learn that from?
I just wonder if, it was because of his visit to Delia, and Syd Barrett as well. He visited the rest of Pink Floyd. There's photographs of it. It's just a real kind of privilege, to not only be aware of that stuff, but to somehow, in a very, very small way, be connected to it. It's wonderful.
Well, that's how I feel about this conversation.
I know.
So thank you so much for joining us today.
No, it's no problem.
It feels like one of those moments for me personally. So thank you.
I'm passing on the baton.
Oh, we're just thrilled, and would just, oh gosh, I just feel like I have so many more threads that I'd want to chat with you about. So
you can email me.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say we're gonna have to continue this conversation, over time offline, and I'll probably just be letting the ideas percolate of what other things I'm gonna want to ask you, because it's gonna stir me up.
When you mentioned unit delta plus. One of the things I found in Delia's archive was a performance they did. Oh God, where was it? Don't know. Somewhere in England, Bangor, in England, or Wales, maybe Wales. But they drank all the booze during the interval, and. She had written a letter to the curator of the show, apologizing that all the booze was gone. It's little things like that. They're brilliant.
Yeah, she was one of a kind. I'm definitely just for some reason I'm really, really drawn to Unit Delta Plus, and just I don't know, maybe because it's so mysterious, it feels like some sort of secret society thing, right? And there's like all this mystery around, like, are there recordings? Like, were they performing? What was going on there? I just want to know everything about it.
Have you ever heard a recording of Unit Delta Plus?
No, I don't think I have. It was White Noise. I remember that.
Yeah. The David Vorhaus, Delia, that collaboration.
There's something about it.
I used to have a VCS3 synthesizer, and a good friend of mine bought it from me, and he's now got it, and it's signed by Peter Zinoviev.
He just passed.
Yeah,
he just passed, and he
was
also spent a good amount of time in Scotland as well, and talks a lot about his time there.
Apparently so, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
that was wild to find out that he was a geologist.
Yeah. So.
And I hope you got more than.
It's just great to be,
I was just gonna say, I hope you got more than 10K out of it at the time that you sold it.
Don't. The VCS3. Oh
the
gosh.
The VCS3.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So not those prices.
Oh man, yeah, that is definitely on the top of our list of favorite synths, and just there's just something magical about it.
Well, I've never played one.
When mine was delivered, the second hand, of course. When mine was delivered, I took it out of the packaging, and I honestly sat and stared at it for.
I believe that.
Instrument.
Cutting out again a little bit. Gosh, every time we're really on something that really excites us, it's like our excitement glitches it all out.
It feels the energy.
Like, no, not the VCS3.
Yeah, not the VCS3.
I'm too excited about it.
Moment.
There's this like thread between Unit Delta Plus, right, the VCS3, and like Brian Jones. You know what I mean? Like all of that. Those threads are my favorite. Anyway, you're back. Okay, just in time to say that we'll be closing this conversation out. So thank you so much for your time and for joining us. Like, this was so inspiring, and just a real honor to get to ask you these questions and
thank you,
and find out more about your backstory.
Keep in touch, and I'll send you stuff.
Yes. Oh, I'm so happy. So, I want to make sure we, again, highlight your links here. Everybody said they're going to be checking out your music and going to all these links, so make sure you guys grab those before the stream ends. And was there anything in particular you want us to shout out, or a place you want us to direct people besides what do we have? Like the Patreon and the Bandcamp?
Not really, no. Just that if there's any publishers out there that want to, publish a book about tape loops, and
That's
an amazing shout out. We love it. Everybody in the chat, remember, we want
anybody
this book to
from
exist.
Vocal Press, or do they follow us? Like,
you just never know. You got to put it out there. Exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. It's a pleasure.
Just making this timing work out. I really appreciate it, and we're so excited to keep in touch. So thank you.
Yeah, sounds like synth friends to me.
Yeah. I think we did it. We accomplished it. Mission accomplished, everyone. Thank you so much.
And thanks for having me.
Yeah. We'll
Goodbye.
talk to you soon.
All right, see ya.